To begin with, let's start with this California study everybody is buzzing. Overwhelmingly more likely to have had COVID-19 than who are championing this. And anecdotally, it's good in what we're dealing with. We're dealing with a small pool of people who, why a lot of people, actually, most scientists are treating this skeptically. Get your, you could come get a test on Facebook. It was overwhelmingly women who showed up, sampling of people who had the virus. Now, it had all sorts of problems with it. It was a test where there is some indication, but also that it could be triggered a lot of false positives, rendering the test meaningless than what we originally thought. Outside of Boston, in one of the hardest hit areas of good news, because again, it brings down mortality, it brings down hospitalization. The shelter in Boston where they gave people antibody tests. And anecdotally, there continues to be data coming out that it was helpfully pointed in this direction by an epidemiologist. They're pointing into these studies saying, see, I told you so, I told you so. Situation, I think we got to look at all the data. But we also need to keep it in perspective with the data from epidemiologists in 8 weeks. 40,000 deaths in 8 weeks today. The reason I'm staying on the low side of 40,000 is and some of the higher numbers are including some people died of the flu. That includes people who tested positive for the COVID-19. There's a conspiracy theory running among some on the right that Dr. Burke said anyone who dies if you test positive COVID-19 and someone shoots you, and you need to understand there are a lot of people. A lot of people are twisting a lot of the facts and data out there to boost on either side. We don't want the completely disastrous picture that some people is when you actually count the people who died of COVID-19, all the other problems related to how one dies of COVID-19 has a heart attack. So when you look at the people who 40,221 people, 43,200. Now let's paint an apples to apples comparison test of COVID-19. How many confirmed tests for flu? 7,000. So again, let's just take 1,000 people died of COVID-19 based on a confirmed positive test. 6-month flu season. That gives you the picture of because every government on the planet has done this. That's why it was done. I want to focus on Georgia here because I'm in Georgia and he's being attacked by Republicans that he did too much. County and the county commission there wants it to be opened up. An editorial from the newspaper wanting things opened up, suggesting we should have never closed down in the first place because he's a Republican. No one on the right is happy with him because they think he wrecked the economy for no big deal. Until the modeling suggested, and remember, did not act. The moment the modeling showed that Georgia would go ahead and shut down the state, we could get the peak over with at the beginning of April, who were saying at the middle to end of March, if Brian Kemp would shelter in place then, ASA second to enter an order to shut down the state on April 3rd. When his relying shows Georgia hit its peak on April 7th. And he did not do what the Democrats said. If he acted sooner, we'd have hit until April 24th. And then what happened? The modeling moved to April 20th and the modeling off. And as a result, deaths come in, the model shifts. And there was a big presumed that it would go up, and it didn't. And that, my friend, text data to 33777. It was actually April 7th. I'm sorry, I said April 14th. April 7th, there was it's gone down. On April 7th, the deaths per day. Hospital beds, we will no longer max out ICU. So in Georgia, the governor he didn't listen to the Republican actual epidemiologists who were he was told that Georgia would exceed hospital rate. The result is that we passed the daily rate is declining 89 total cases. 3,000 percentage points lower now than the national average percentage for deaths of New York City. We do need that the governor did Y and Z and weed out the going to die again. They heard that too big is starting to reopen.